Okay, good afternoon. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the review with you, some selected problems. Identify the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the max or min point, domain, range, and of each function. So you notice that the +2 means it's going to go to the left. So the vertex is -2, -6. I know that the domain is going to be all reals. The range, since you know that it's going to open upwards, since there's no negative, a is going to be positive. So y is greater than or equal to -6. The axis of symmetry is going to be x equal -2. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and graph it. So you have the parent function x squared, right? Y equals x squared, that's the parent function. And now I'm going to graph the function that we have here for problem 4. So you have y equals 4. It's going to get narrower. X plus 2 squared, as you see, went left, -6. So it went down. So there is our function. For number 5, we have f of x equals negative parentheses x minus 3 squared plus 2. That negative is going to make it reflect. That -3 is going to shift it to the right 3 units, and it goes up 2. So our vertex is going to be 3, 2, and this is going to be a max point, a maximum point. The domain is all reals, and since it's a max point, it's going to reach its highest point at 3, 2. So the range is y less than or equal to 2. The axis of symmetry, x equals 3. So if you wanted to check that out, all you would have to do is type in y equals negative x minus 3 squared. You notice it reflects over the x-axis, and then it goes up 2. So once again, the vertex is 3, 2. That's what we noticed, 3, 2. That's our max point, because that's like a hill right there. X equals 3 is the axis of symmetry, and some of you have been asking what is the axis of symmetry. It's gonna go ahead and divide the parabola into 2 parts, and the vertex is also on the axis of symmetry. And since this is the highest point, the range is going to be y less than or equal to 2. For number 6, we notice that the a value is 10, so it's going to be upwards. It's going to be narrower by a factor of 10. The -1 means it's going to shift to the right. So the vertex is going to be 1, 5, and it is a minimum point since it opens upwards. The domain is -infinity to +infinity, which is all real numbers. The range, the lowest point that it gets is 5, so y is greater than or equal to 5. The axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 1. So we figured out everything, so now we're just going to go and show you that graph there, y equals 10, parentheses x minus 1 squared plus 5. And you notice it goes up, and that's the vertex. We know that the axis of symmetry is x equal 1, and it opens upward, so it's a minimum point. Number 7, we're finding the same things again. We're talking about the vertex. So to find the vertex, we know that the graph is going to shift to the left 9 units, so it's -9, and it's also going to go down 4 units. We know that the axis of symmetry is going to go right through the vertex, so x equals -9. The domain is -infinity to +infinity, and the range, since that is a minimum point, the range is going to be r. The range is y greater than or equal to -4. So that's the range, that's the domain, the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and like we said, that is a minimum point. And if you wanted to check this out, we have y equals parentheses, we know it's going to be squared, We know it's minus 4. We have x plus 9. You notice that it shifts to the left. It goes down 4, and we know that it's going to get narrower by a factor of 2. And so there's our graph. Graph each function, describe each transformation of the parent function. X squared plus 4, it's just going to shift up 4 units, and you can see that just by us simply saying y equals x squared plus 4. The next one is the minus 9, so it's going to shift to the right 9 units, and then it's going to also go up 2 units. And if you want to see that, I'm going to go ahead and type in a different function here. We have y equals parentheses x minus 9 squared plus 2. And here is the function. It went to the right, and it went up 2. And it did get narrow by a factor. No, it didn't get narrow, so it's number 10. That 1/2 means it's going to get wider. The plus 1 is going to shift to the left 1 unit, and then minus 5 it's going to shift down. So if you want to see that, I'm going to go ahead and graph it there also. Y equals 1/2 parentheses x plus 1 squared minus 5. And you notice it did get wider, it did go to the left, and it did go down 5 units. Number 11 and 12, I did 12 in the classroom. 11, write the equation of each parabola in vertex form. So I know this point is the vertex, it's also the minimum point. It's going to be 2, 1. So remember that our equation in vertex form looks like this. Y equals a x minus h squared plus k, where h and k is the vertex. So remember that it's going to shift to the right, so it has to be x minus 2 squared plus 1. But we don't know the value of a. I do have the y-intercept, which is 0, 9, and I know that the x value is 0, and I know that the y value is 9. And just like I told you in class, to find the value of a, just substitute. So you have 9 equals a parentheses 0 minus 2 squared plus 1. So you notice that we have the a variable. So you have 9 is equal to 0 minus 2 is negative 2 squared is 4a plus 1. You subtract 1 from both sides. So you have 8 equals 4a divided by 4. So a equals 2. So if you want to check if we did it correctly, all you would have to do is type in, it's going to be 2. So you're going to write 2 parentheses x minus 2 squared plus 1. And if you want to see if these 2 points are on this graph here, you go to the table, and we have 0, 9, and we also have 2, 1, so we did it correctly. So once again, we're writing the equation for this graph, and we know that the vertex is negative 5, 4, and I know that this point is negative 2, 1. So to write the equation, we have y equals a, and we have x minus h squared plus k, where hk is the vertex. I know that it moved to the left. It shifted to the left when you compare it to the parent function. So it's y equals a parentheses x plus 5 squared plus 1. Now I know that negative 2 is equal to x, and we know that 1 can be replaced, or y can be replaced with 1. So we're going to substitute x and y into our equation. Why are we going to do that? Because we got to find a. We're missing a. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and substitute y. Y is going to be 1 equals a parentheses. X is negative 2 plus 5 squared plus 1. Now if you look at the parentheses, we have negative 2 plus 5, which gives you 3. 3 squared gives you 9, so you have 1 is equal to 9 times a plus 1. And I'm going to go ahead and stop. I did stop because I noticed that this is 4. This is 4. So I'm going to subtract 4. I'm going to subtract 4. So 1 minus 4 is negative 3 equals 9a. Divided by 9. So remember that it's a fraction, so you have negative 3 over 9, which they have 3 in common. So it's negative 1/3. Now to check if we had the answer right, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and insert this into decimals. Y equals negative 1/3 parentheses x plus 5, and then of course you're going to square it, and then you have plus 4. So if you look at the picture, it kind of resembles what we have there in this picture right here. So now we got to make sure that we have the points that it's going through, so we know that one of them is negative 5. We have negative 5, 4, and then the other point is negative 2. We have negative 2, 1, and you notice those are the points that are here. For problems 13, 14, 15, and 16, all what I want you to do is just graph this using Desmos. So we have y equals x squared, right? Plus 6x plus 5. Go ahead and create a table. And of course we want to have some on the other side of the parabola. So I would probably start negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 2, and then so on. So on your graphing calculator, on some graph paper, go ahead and graph this. Identify the axis of symmetry. In this case, we know that the vertex is negative 3, negative 4, so the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 3. We know that the domain is all real numbers. We know that the range is y is greater than or equal to negative 4. We know that the y-intercept is 0, 5. And this is a minimum point. So for problems 13, 14, 15, and 16, all you have to do is type it into Desmos and go ahead and graph it and identify the key attributes. I'm going to work out 17, 18, 19, and 20. And remember, the formula that we're going to use is the axis of symmetry formula. So we can come up with the y value. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with number 17. And it says, write each function in vertex form. Remember, when I said vertex form, that means you're able to identify the vertex in the formula. So for number 17, you need to identify A. In this case, it's 4. Identify B, which is negative 8. And identify C, which is 2. Since we want to know the x value of the vertex, and we know that the axis of symmetry goes to the vertex, we have x equals negative b over 2a. So negative b, which b is already negative 8, so you have negative 8 divided by 2 times a, which is 4. So what happens when you have two negatives? That's going to be a positive 8 over 2 times 4, which is 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So we know that x is equal to 1. So now you have to substitute into the equation 1 to find the y value. And remember, I asked in class, why do we need the y value? Well, it's because we need the vertex. So we need to figure out what the y value is. So if you want, you can always use Desmos here. So we have 4 parentheses 1 squared minus 8 times 1 plus 2. So you get negative 2. So the question is, what is a vertex? So in this case, the vertex is x is 1, negative 2. Now the vertex tells you a lot about the parabola. It tells you that it's going to be to the right of the y-axis. And why is that important? Well, when you write down your equation, y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k, we know that since it's going to be to the right, it's going to have to be y equals, do we know a? Yes, it's 4. 4 parentheses x, and we know it's going to be to the right, so it's minus 1 squared minus 2, right? Because the y value is negative 2. Now, if you want to check this, you can go straight into Desmos. So you have y equals 4 parentheses x minus 1 squared minus 2. Now, if you want to check if it's correct, I'm just going to type in 4x squared. So I have 4x squared minus 8x plus 2. And what do you notice? Somebody in class told me earlier they overlap, and that's correct. By them overlapping, that means it's the same equation. So that's number 17, and this is in vertex form. The instructions for number 18, write each function in vertex form. What you know are what they call the coefficients, which we have a equals 1, b equals negative 8, and c equals 12. Remember, since we want to write in vertex form, we're looking for the vertex. And right now we're going to look for the x value of the vertex, and we're going to find it using the axis of symmetry formula. So it's going to be negative b over 2a. And since we know that b is negative 8, then we know that a negative, and then we have another negative, that's going to make it positive. And we know that a, we're going to substitute, so it's 2 times 1. So we have 8 divided by 2, which gives you 4. So the vertex, the x value is 4. What's missing? The y value. So we have to go back into our equation and substitute the value of x. So we have y equals, and we're substituting, so we have 4 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 12. And you can use either Desmos calculator, or you can use the TI Inspire, whatever you want to use. You just got to make sure that you're accurate in order for you to get the right equation, and I get 12. So the vertex is 4, 12. We know that the value of a is 1, so I'm going to write down y equals 1. Parentheses, I know it's to the right of the y-axis, so it's x minus 4 squared plus k, which is 12. The formula I'm referring to is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now, if you want to check if this is correct, you're going to go ahead and come to Desmos. You have y equals parentheses x, and you notice that I ignored the 1. Yeah, you can ignore the 1. It's understood. Plus 12. Now, I'm going to go ahead and type in the other equation. We have x squared minus 8x plus 12. And you notice we did something wrong. Okay, did you catch my mistake? I caught it. It's right here. That's 4. So let me come over here, and I'm going to type in parentheses 4 parentheses 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 12. So it's actually negative 4. So let me go ahead and erase that. It's actually negative 4. So k is actually minus 4. So let me go ahead and graph that again. Let me go back. So we have y equals parentheses x minus 4 squared minus 4. And of course, the function that we have, x squared minus 8x. Let me go back. Plus 12, right? And there it is. It's overlapping. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do number 19. I'm going to do number 19, okay? So for number 19, I'm going to write it in vertex form. I know that A is 8. I know that B is 8. I know that C is negative 12. And I need to find the x value of the vertex. So I'm going to use this formula, which is the axis symmetry formula. So negative B is negative 8 divided by 2 times 8. And we know that 2 times 8 is 16. So it's negative 8 over 16, which is equal to negative 1/2. So I know that the x value of the vertex is negative 1/2. So I'm going to come over here to the table, to Desmos, and I have negative 1/2. And I'm going to square it. Remember to multiply times 8. And then plus 8 times negative 1/2 minus 12. And you get negative 14. So y equals 8 times negative 1/2 squared plus 8 times negative 1/2 minus 12. So y equals negative 14. So what's going to be the vertex? The vertex is negative 1/2 comma negative 14. So that means that the vertex is to the left of the y-axis. So remember the formula, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. We know that a, since we identified a is going to be 8. Parentheses, since it's going to move to the right, it's going to shift to the right, it's going to be x plus 1/2 squared minus 14. So let's go ahead and go to our calculator here. So we have y equals 8 parentheses x plus 1/2 squared minus 14. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in number 19, y equals 8x squared plus 8x minus 12. And it overlaps. So we have it correctly. I didn't get to do number 20, but I've given you 17, 18, and 19. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and go to the last section of the test. For this part of the review, we're going to use 3 points. We're going to use 3 points to write the equation of the parabola. Remember, the standard form equation of the parabola is going to be y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And you're going to use that formula to come up with 3 equations by substitution. Remember that x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 5, so you're going to write down 5 is equal to a parentheses 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c, since the x value is equal to 0. Now we're going to go ahead and use the second order pair. We know that x is 2 and y is equal to negative 3, so we have negative 3 equals a parentheses 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c. So that's our second equation. Now our third equation, we have x is equal to -1 and y is equal to 12. So you have 12 equals a parentheses -1 squared plus b times -1 plus c. So with this information, we're able to set up a system of 3 equations with 3 variables. And we want to find a, b, and c. So the first equation is 5 equals 0a plus 0b plus c, since those two were 0. The next equation is -3 equals 2 squared, gives you 4a plus 2b plus c. And the last equation is going to be 12 equals a, since -1 times -1 is +1, a minus b plus c. Now, what you want to do is you want to write your matrix. So a, the matrix is 0, 0, 1, 5. This is your augmented matrix. You have 4, 2, 1, -3, and then it's 1, -1, 1, 12. And then what you want to do is type this into the matrix. There's 3 rows, so it's going to be 3 rows by 4 columns. So you have 0, 0, 1, 5. The next row, 4, 2, 1, -3. And of course the last row is -1. Well, actually it's 1, 1, -1, 1, and 12. Now you want to do what they call RREF of the matrix. So type in RREF of the matrix, and you notice that you have 1, 0, 0, 1, which means a is equal to 1, 0, 1, 0, -6, which means that b is equal to -6, and then 0, 0, 1, 5, and that's c. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to -6, and c is equal to 5. So what you're going to do, you're going to go back to our original standard form equation, and all you're going to do is substitute into that equation. So what you have as the quadratic, the final quadratic, you have y equals a is 1, so it's going to be x squared. B is -6, so you have -6x. And c is +5. Now, if you want to check if these 3 points are on this parabola, you're going to go to Desmos. Type in the equation x squared minus 6x plus 5. Look at your table, and your table is 0, 5. We have 0, 5. We have 2, -3, and we have -1, 12. So yeah, all the points are there that we had for 22.